I hope not, because we're on to fan favorite shout outs and rants. We'll keep the same order. So, Matt, that means you get to go first.
All right. I have both a rant and a shout out about the same thing that was happening in Boston today. The shout out is for our newest professional sports team. We have a new women's soccer team here in Boston. They are called Boss Nation Football Club. Boss Nation is supposed to be an anagram of Bostonian, although astute people will notice there's two O's in Bostonian and only one in Boss Nation. And that brings us to more of the rant part of this. I am especially pleased that we have more pro sports. Love to see more women's sports. I love to see more pro sports in Boston generally, because right now with the Patriots and the Red Sox being so bad, we need as many other diversions as possible in this city. However, the marketing campaign that launched this week for Boss Nation is that people should pay attention to the new women's soccer team because we have in this city, quote, too many balls, close quote. That is a real marketing motto. It went out. It was on billboards around the city for the better part of a day until finally several people started to point out that this was a bad idea. Several people noted that it comes across as a bit transphobic, and I agree with them that it can. I'm just going to focus on the simpler thing that this was just stupid. Who on earth thought that was going to be a clever thing for a women's soccer team? They have since taken down the billboards. They have said that motto is going away. I don't know what the new motto is going to be, but I mean, way to get a yellow card on your new sports team as soon as the starting whistle goes off. It was just quite a thing.
Mr. Marks.
Wow. That's tough to follow, Matt. But I have one very quick shout out, and then I have another one that I'll get into a little bit more details. Going to the women's sports thing, I don't know if anyone's been watching women's basketball lately, but I am telling you, if you're not a fan, you should be. It's very exciting. These women are underpaid. They shouldn't be. I'm hoping that really does take off, but they're just absolute incredible athletes, and they should get their just desserts some days. I was reading an article not too long ago, I think it was this week, where one of the women's professional basketball players doesn't even make enough money to pay her rent. And I just think that's deplorable considering the society that we live in today. But my real shout out is to the anonymous person who solved a 31-year investigation and 11 riddles, and that is the Golden Owl. And I don't know if you know what that is, but I'm not going to get into all the details here, but it started in 1993. And it was a puzzle, and it's been going on. But I think it was a French author, Max, I can't even say his last name, Max V. But anyway, there were 11 riddles, and this thing has been on and off for the past 31 years. And there's somebody anonymous, we don't know who the individual is, but apparently there's some documentary that's going to come out next April in 2025 that's going to talk more about this. But it's one of the longest investigations that I have ever seen or been a part of, not personally been a part of, but being a part of actually reading it and trying to understand it. I don't know a lot about it, but I'm curious to see what the 11 riddles are. And I'm looking to see who the individual was who actually found it. But it was actually kind of crazy because I know people were running around the globe and there were some rules that were put in place. You're not supposed to dig in on public property or private property without proper approval. But it was sort of this crazy race to find this golden owl that was worth, I think, about $165,000 or $170,000. But nonetheless, a 31-year investigation, 11 riddles, and it's finally solved.
Karen Moore, what do you have for us today?
First, I need a shout out and rave for your doggies. I think they should make more of an appearance. They're gorgeous. I love them. But my rant today is about something super mundane that has a huge effect on my mood, and that is civility in supermarket parking lots. It can ruin what is my happy place, which is the kind of mindless up and down shopping experience in my local supermarket. The parking lot is just full of trolleys that people refuse to take the extra steps to return to their proper place, and pedestrians that don't look where they're going and don't keep to the crosswalk, and drivers who cannot wait the 10 seconds it takes for somebody to back out and instead go racing behind me while I'm trying to swivel my head in 360 degrees. It just creates a huge amount of stress for me and ruins what my kind of happy place, calm supermarket, what am I going to make tonight for dinner shopping experiences. So just boo on all the people that cannot think about others and watch where they're going, watch what they're doing. Ooh, yes, Matt, if I could shoot those people, I am anti-gun, but I might make an exception.
Move to Florida. I think it's legal down there.
I'm going to have a rare shout out to one of the great bodies in jurisprudence and governance, the Texas Legislature. And what they did was frankly stunning. There's a gentleman named Robert Roberson who's on death row in Texas. He was days from his execution date. He was convicted of murdering his 6-month-old baby with something called the shaken baby syndrome, which has now become completely discredited. The prosecutor has withdrawn or revoked or said, we need to not kill this guy. The witnesses, the expert witnesses, have disavowed their testimony. The U.S. Supreme Court said, we don't have jurisdiction, so we can't help you. A district court in Austin, well, the reason the Texas Legislature gets this shout out is the Republican-run Texas Legislature thought this was such a miscarriage of justice, and the state of Texas was about to execute an innocent man, that they subpoenaed him for testimony. And they went to court to have the execution stayed because the Board of Pardons wouldn't stay it and the governor wouldn't stay it. So a district court in Austin stayed the execution so he could give his testimony to the Texas Legislature, which I will parenthetically note doesn't go into session until January. The Court of Criminal Appeals, we have bifurcated appellate courts in Texas, overturned the state district court's ruling, but the Texas Supreme Court said, oh no, you can't do that. We're a civil jurisdiction, and we believe the Texas Legislature has the right to his testimony should they subpoena him, and they've subpoenaed him. So they have stayed his execution, all because somebody in a Republican Texas Legislature, this wasn't right, and they came up with a way to stop this execution. So kudos to the Texas Legislature. Kudos to the Texas Supreme Court for at least giving Mr. Roberson a few more days. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was about as much fun as I've had on one of these shows in a long time. Everybody brought their A game. I wanted to thank you all. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Tom.